All right, let's look at what we have done so far with our theme implementation. All right, first of all, look at this. I did bad. I came back to the site and I realized I left the server running. I should have pressed Command C and closed it down. Listen, we don't need to. They're giving us this server for really cheap because we're on an educational license. We don't need to waste their money and have this server humming away. Um, we can let it go and suspend, and it'll do that if I just have this closed. Anyway, let's spin it right back up again, press the up arrow and then enter, and let's look at what we're cooking with at the moment. And all right, we've got my nav bar is in, and I have a sort of a footer, but something's goofy there, and I know why. It's because the index is all gummed up. But that's fine. Let's look at this. So what I've done so far is replace a lot of the static assets. So these are the CSS files and fonts and resources that make my site look awesome. And they are linked either externally or locally, meaning that some are going to be in folders here and others are going to be on Google's website. I need to understand that difference because the ones that are local here, I don't want to fix in my address. I don't want to say go to this address, blah blah blah, and then this page. It doesn't work really well because I might switch a lot. I just want to say, hey, look up my own website. So find the URL for the thing in my static folder, and inside that folder we'll give a keyword argument, meaning that I said, hey, look up into my static folder. And I'm providing it additional instructions, so further arguments in this URL for command. And it says, hey, check out my vendor folder and Font Awesome and CSS, and then find Font Awesome in CSS. There you go. See, I don't even use the primary one. I could totally delete this one because I use the minified file version of it. And so I don't delete it because frankly sometimes it's helpful to go through them and to check as a reference. I couldn't just get it online, true, but the minified one it gets rid of, among other things, all white space, and so there's no enters. Just to make the file a tiny bit smaller and thus load a little bit quicker on an order of magnitude when you're dealing with serving out a lot of websites to a lot of people. Every little bit it counts. Okay, so the basic structure and head of my document has transferred. Now notice I have some of these blocks. We're going to leave them in place for the most part. If you were to get rid of them, and there, I just got rid of this, it won't be a big deal. They can be useful, and we'll talk about that later down the road when we start talking about Flask security. Other apps, other plugins that we'll use may reference a common structure, and so they might be able to help fill in the right information here and there. Let's say you add in a new feature, a new security or administration feature, and they might say, hey, we want to include a couple extra helper files when you load our stuff. So they might want to sneak in some additional links. This gives those templates that inherit from this base, this pop-up bear template, it gives them a little location where they can sneak in additional stuff into the head. Rather, because if I only gave them the main content block, they can only insert stuff right on this part of the page. And that doesn't work well because that's inside the body. The website is already building your page at that point. Sometimes you really want the head because that way you can link other assets. And of course, you could also do like other silly things like having an additional footer space, and so you can break apart your template into a million different little blocks and have different sections for everything. But as we're learning, I think it's easier if you just have the basic container of your website, the footer and the head and the nav bar, and then just have room for all of the guts of your website to drop in there. All right, so now let's look at this main block content. This goes inside a container. That's what my last theme did. If I open this, my new theme mockup in Visual Studio Code, then I can check out the structure that my new theme is using. So and I can see it goes from nav, where I stop my base theme, and right into the header. It does that without another container, or is the whole thing? No, yeah, it's all just free floating, just using sections, not a larger container structure. So I don't need that with my new theme. Oftentimes you'll find every page is wrapped in some sort of container or like body wrapper or something like that. So now it goes from nav to all of the junk of my home page or whatever page it is, and then into the footer. And if I fold up some of the stuff here, I see my nav, the different sections of my home page, and then my footer. So it's the different sections of my home page that I want, and that will be inserted into this block from the inset. I don't need any of this. I don't need, yeah, we got rid of those. So that can all go. I don't need this. All right. And now I will just replace all of that with this content. All right, let's see if this works. No guarantees. All right, we got some stuff here. Okay, there are still problems though. Yeah, a lot of problems. An easy way to find a few are to inspect and look at the errors here. And so we can't find some images. I can fix that pretty easily. See, my new theme uses an image folder. My old theme used an images folder. This actually might be where users upload their own files, but I don't like having images and an image folder. So I'm just going to get rid of this. That's not cool. Just an IMG folder. That's the standard. That's the norm. And I've got old stuff here. I'm just going to delete this too. I don't like the junk hanging around from my previous theme, especially inside my static folder. Because those are the key files of a theme. All the fonts, all of the styles, all the useful stuff. If they're lingering around from a previous theme, that spells trouble. So I'm just going to copy over the images into this folder. There we go. Now all I'll do is anytime there's an image, see, here's an image. I can say, it's still in that same path, images, portfolio. So it's still there in the same, but I got to tell it to look, I got to say, hey, Jinja, get the URL for my static folder, and you'll find the file name to be this guy, blah, 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 blah. All right, end command and end Jinja code. Cool. And so now I've got to do that same bit. I'll just copy this all to the other images. Bam, bam, bam. All right, I'm going to pause it and do this boring thing to the rest of these. Okay, so pictures are now loaded. Things are cooking, but we still have this issue. Oh, I'm silly. That's because it's not the right footer at all. That's the old footer. So I didn't finish the base. So the footer, all of this stuff, that means I might not have finished the JavaScript either. So I need to double check that. Because usually you load the JavaScript at the end, because oftentimes the JavaScript are commands to mess around with the code that's above it. And so, you mean I mean the code that's already loaded in onto the DOM. Google it. So I want to grab the footer from my mockup. I'll just close this and the copyright too, and the jump to top because that's got to be on every one of my pages. These modals, these pop-up windows, that's unique to the home page. So I actually need to put these little windows up in the index HTML. Okay, footer installed. Now I need to check so I go jQuery bootstrap for jQuery easing magnific pop-up. That's how that starts. And this goes at the end, jQuery bootstrap, jQuery easing magnific pop-up. All right, this is pretty darn close. jQuery, a validation file, which I probably don't need anyway, and a contact me, which I probably don't need anyway, because we'll use forms using our Flask app. But Freelancer JS, I definitely want. So the other stuff probably don't care about, but it's there anyway, and so is this one. Okay, so I did get the tail.js, even though I didn't copy over the bases. Now I need to get those modals working, and those work over here. These modals, it starts right here, and goes up to here. Yep, shift click, there you go, Control C, Alt tab over here, and then index. I'm just going to sneak these right at the end because they're hidden by default until you click on the window. All right, I'll see if this works. I'll save this, Control Shift R, and there you go. Let's see all these things here, and now does this pop up correctly? Yes, it does. All right.